surviving the 80s. So yesterday I talked about the cold season, and today I just want to add a little more, but I want to make some whipped cream. And so I've got organic. You want to make sure that anything with the animal fat, if it has a lot in it, use organic, because that's where all of the bad stuff goes, to the fat. So that's what I'm doing. And oh, I didn't get my whipper. Wait just a minute. I'll whip over and get my whipper.
Is that like an egg beater?
That's like an egg beater. Okay. Now, oh, and my water is taking off. I think there. My tea kettle was beginning to hum. Okay, I had an electric whipper that I'd had forever, and it finally bit the dust. And so I ordered and bought a new one. And I didn't like it. And I thought one day, why not just try the egg beater? Works just as good, just as fast, and it gives me some exercise. And I know it's making noise, so I probably won't do the whole thing while I'm talking. But I want you to know, I only put in a scant teaspoon of sugar. After all, it's sweet cream. So that's going to be it for the sweet. I'm going to add a little cinnamon to it, just a pinch or two. And the other thing I want to talk about, when you use spices, you want to make sure that they're good spices, that they're organic or wild crafted, mainly organic, because they are some of the most sprayed items that we have. And I think here we go to all the trouble to cook organic the best we can, and then we grab some spice and some herbs or something that's been sprayed. And pesticides are one of the things that people use to commit suicide with. Why do we want to put, I don't care how little, we don't want to sprinkle it on our food. So when you use your spices, buy organic, get good ones. Maybe you can only afford a few, but that's better than having a lot that are pesticide. And honest, they are some of the most sprayed items that we can buy in a grocery store. So that's my little sermon for today. Make sure you do that. And if you only put a teaspoon or less in your whipped cream, you add vanilla to it. Vanilla will make it taste sweet. And I know that vanilla, I used to be able to make my own vanilla, but it is so expensive. So I have finally learned I don't put vanilla in it anymore. And after a while, you get used to things that aren't just super sweet, and you get to taste the real thing. Okay, oops, so much for that. What I really want to talk about is this cold. Yesterday I talked about cold prevention. Well, what happens then when all of a sudden you wake up, you have that little scratchy throat, and maybe you feel too hot. You know, you wake up and maybe besides, maybe you're not hot, but you're running cold, and you just feel sort of shivery and chilly. But you know you really haven't got the real cold yet. It's just those first symptoms. Well, these are the things that you can grab and do. If you're feeling that coldness, grab for ginger. Make a good ginger tea. And I know I have a cup here someplace. I'll grab a cup. And my cup has a nice wintry scene. So I'm gonna make some ginger tea. And this time, instead of fresh ginger, I'm gonna use dried ginger. And it's gonna have a very warm sensation. I'm gonna steep it in my cup. And actually, if you could add lemon, but I've got limes, and I'm gonna do a lime in mine. And I'm gonna add some lime juice to it. But lemon probably would be better, it's just that's what I have today. And so I'm putting that in there. I'm gonna put my hot water, it's gonna steep, and then I'll strain that out and drink it. Okay, and I want to put a little top on it, so I'm just going to put it over here, and while we're talking, it'll steep in my cup. Okay, so you can do that. The other thing is, if you're cayenne would be another, and you can make a tea with cayenne. You can put it on your food, but that will help warm you up. And cayenne is a terrific herb, actually, or spice, or a good thing. It helps the heart, it helps circulation. It's just really known to be very effective. Then, also, if you're running, those are things to do if you've got that cold, chilly feeling. But if you're running hot, what you want to do, again, is grab your elderberry. And the other day when you saw me take the tincture, actually it wasn't the berries that I'd made it with, it was the leaf and the flower. The leaf, the flower, the berries have similar properties and they do similar actions. So all of those, the leaf, the flower, the berry, can help with flu and cold symptoms. So that would be another thing, to go to your elderberry. And because elderberry is becoming so known, it's hard to find. I mean, the supply, the demand is more than the supply right now. I'm trying to grow a tree. I don't know if I got the right species. It's the only one I could find, but I hope it is. So I'll have my own in my own yard eventually. Okay, the other thing is echinacea. Now that is a really, this one is echinacea you want to go to, but only on the onset of a cold. If you've got a bad cold and it's really set in, do not use echinacea. And that is the trouble. People heard it helped colds, and echinacea was the fad, and then they found out, hey, it doesn't really work. Well, yes, they took it when they had the cold, completely had it. What echinacea really does is to help prevent the cold from starting, and you want to do it immediately on that onset of the cold, not after the cold sets in. What it'll do then, you may even have the cold longer because you took the echinacea at the wrong time. But echinacea is really very effective if you use it at the right time. And originally, I don't know if you know this, but its claim to fame was if you got bit by, let's say, a rattlesnake and took enough echinacea, it would, you wouldn't feel the results of the bite like you would if you didn't. You would live through it. And even a man, to prove this, let some rattlesnakes bite him, and then he took it. And the Indians used to use it a lot. But we want to be careful not to overuse echinacea because it's one of the things now that are on the endangered list because it became such a fad, and then people were disappointed, I'm sure, with the results because they didn't know how to use it. So those are the four things you can go to depending on if you're feeling cold or hot. Echinacea, elderberry, if you've got those really hot, feverish feelings. Or if you've got the cold, shivery feelings, go to your ginger and your cayenne. And those things help at the onset of a cold and might just ward it off and never really materialize into that really, really bad cold. So those are my tips for cold and for the cold season. And now I'm going to finish my whipped cream and I'm going to put it in my cuppa. I might even add it to my cup of ginger and lemon tea. I don't know what I'll do with it, but I'm going to have whipped cream. Well, actually, I tell you, I'm going to have a good cup of chai and I'm going to put my whipped cream on top. So, have a good day.